everyone. Welcome back to the show, Small Business Stories. You know me, you know the voice, Dr. LL. I am your host, coming to you live a couple of times a week and also broadcasting on demand so that we can bring all kinds of wonderful guests to you. Our guest today is Joe Incrocci. He's an executive coach, and he's going to talk to us about how leadership and ideology has really been shifting, kind of getting people away from ego and being more dialed into emotional intelligence to make connections with their staff. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Loralyn. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, we always like to start to give people the visual because many of the people who are listening to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever else, they don't have the full YouTube visual experience. So talk to us about either where you're dialing in from, what part of the world you're in a home office. We just like to give people a little sense to put some picture around the voice.
Sure. I'm in my home office, which is my only office, and I'm located in Downers Grove, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago.
Okay, so we've got a Midwest here. Not hearing a big Midwest twang though. Joe,
I lived in New York for 20 years, so
all right, that's more of what I'm hearing. All right,
yeah.
that's coming through. I'm on this side as well now, just outside Manhattan on the other side of the Hudson, right? Commonly known as
Uh,
the Garden State.
oh, in New Jersey.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I lived in Darien, Connecticut,
Oh, okay. So on the other side of New York. I mean,
on
that's
the other side of New York.
yes, very good. So let's get into this and talking about executive leadership because a number of things have changed in what people are offering as training and offering as coaching. And you've been in the business for a while. So can you give us a sense of what has shifted? What are the biggest changes you've noticed as an executive coach in either the approach or the people you're coaching?
Well, executive coach, my consulting revolves around increasing profits and growth. And I think to do that, you have to be a good coach, a good executive, a good leader. And leadership is a matter of, do you have followers? When I was in the military and going through my OCS training, I asked my drill sergeant, how will I know when I'm ready to be promoted or commissioned? And he says, easy, look behind you. If there are people lined up, you're a leader. If they're not, you're not ready. So that's what I tell anybody in a position of leadership is if you have followers, you're a leader. If you don't, you're not.
And so first, thank you for your service. So appreciate that you've got a military background. And you are spot on when it comes to that whole thing about following. I also train people in leadership. And one of the things that I talk to folks about is that people have a choice to follow you. Just because you have a job title doesn't mean people are going to follow you. It means you have authority, but it doesn't mean you're a leader. Talk to us a little bit further about that, what you're seeing and how people react to that when you tell them, do you have followers behind you?
Well, I'm going to go back to my military days again. And soldiers who follow a leader have to have a confidence that they're going to come home. Nobody wants to follow a leader thinking this is it. We're going to go into battle and I'm going to not come home. I think it's the same in business. Nobody wants to follow a leader that they don't believe is going to take them to a path of becoming better, either in their skills or in their net worth or in some way better. So if they don't have confidence that you're going to take them to that place, they're not going to follow you, period. So you have to have some track record, I think, of being in the other place and leading people in the other place. So your track record is an important part, I believe, of having people elect, as you say, make a choice to follow you.
When you're dealing with your clients and offering executive coaching, where do you see the greatest resistance?
Giving up their authority and giving up their ego. I believe if you want to be effective with leadership, you have to check your ego at the door. So when you come in, take your ego off, put your working clothes on, and forget about your ego. Again, if you're effective, if you leadership to me is not just a soft skill, it's a hard skill, and it comes from having a track record of being effective. Again, people want to follow someone they believe is going to lead them to being better. If you have a track record of taking people and having them go to a place that's better, the current group will be happy to follow you. If you don't, it's hard to establish that. So credibility is an important part, I think, of having people follow you.
And how do the CEOs that you do coach react when you say things have changed? It's no longer sort of right carrot and stick. It's really more carrot, less stick. Because back in the day, leaders were told, you are the CEO, therefore you are in charge, you own your staff, right? I mean, this was even the kind of language. And now CEOs are being told, people have the choice to follow you or not. It depends on how much emotional intelligence that you show to demonstrate you're connecting with them or you're not. Like, do you understand what the staff want and what they need, or don't you? And so emotional intelligence has come front and center, really, especially in the last 5 years, especially after the pandemic. People are more dialed into how people feel, how things land. What has been the reaction of the audience base and your client base that you have when you're saying, yeah, let's bring emotional intelligence forward? Do people say, ooh, that's woo woo? Or, okay, tell me more, Joe, talk to me?
My clients are mostly middle market businesses, privately owned, and so they're family businesses. They're rather large for a small business. I mean, most of my clients are somewhere between 100 million and 500 million in revenue. So they're good size, but not not large corporations. Now, I have worked with a Fortune 500 company, and spending most of my life in small businesses, I do understand the difference there. In a large corporation, name, rank, and serial number is the driver. In a small business like where I live, connecting and having the team understand that you have their best interest at heart and that you're not interested in shining your own star, but you have their best interest at heart. And you're going to advise them and guide them with that in mind. Now, whatever tag you put on that, whether you call that emotional maturity or some other term, the bottom line is people have to believe that you're going to take them to a place that's better, and you have to have demonstrated you've done it before, and they have to believe that you have their interest, not your interest at heart.
Got it. When I think another way, like you said, oh, whatever word and label we put on it, emotional intelligence or this, that, it's ego and arrogance, right? Like you said, you need to park it at the door. How often have you encountered resistance when you've told your executive clients that, look, buddy, sir, Mr., Mrs., right? Ms., park your ego. It's not going to work. What's the typical reaction, and how often have you had to fight ego in one of your clients?
I choose not to fight it. I choose to accommodate it. And my belief is if we make a difference in the business and we grow the business and grow it profitably, that is going to deal with the issue of ego. Ultimately, only people who can never change are not going to change, but those who can change, I think, will change if they see the results. So how we deal with ourselves and how we choose to behave in large measure is dictated by how successful those behaviors are. I don't think anybody continues to behave in a way that hurts. People behave in a way that feels good eventually. So it feels good to be successful, and it feels good to have people follow in your footsteps and for them to be successful. So I think success breeds success. It's a long-winded answer to your question, but I hope I communicate it.
But it does, right? Because then everybody sees the results and ROI, right? It hits it. Hey, look,
ROI is the bottom line of everything, including emotional behavior. Personal behavior is basically ROI. Soft ROI, let's call it, but ROI.
yeah, that's just it, right? I say it a little sassier, but is the juice worth the squeeze? Right? That's what we want to take a
Right.
look at. And
Yeah.
that's the net that we're trying to answer, right?
Yeah.
That's the question. Is it
Yeah.
worth my time being coached, paying for the coaching, doing these things differently, or not, right? Because everybody's faced with those
Yeah.
decisions. Talk to us about the approach that you take. Do you often work with the team members? Like in the last few years, the idea of the 360 review has really become quite prominent so that people can get a, I guess, more holistic and less biased look at the leader. But I'm finding that the 360s, that people don't really want to say everything in them because they don't have the confidence it's fully anonymized. So you don't get the full picture. How do you get the full picture? Do you talk to staff? What do you do? What's your approach?
Situation dependent. Um, Again, my clients are mostly small businesses and run by a CEO who's maybe been doing it for 30 or 40 years. He's built a good company. So to start with, my number one block is the CEO because he's convinced that whatever he does is right and hard for him to see anything else. I think things like 360 is the flavor of the day. I think the issue isn't the 360. That's a term for a process. I think the issue is feedback and guidance. So if I start working with the CEO, he's the first person I have to, second person. I'm the first person to check my ego. The second person to check his ego is the CEO. He has to learn, he's going to build succession if he wants to be successful. He's not going to be there forever, right? He's going to pass on. And so he's got to build a team that wants to succeed him and doesn't want to leave him. So he's got to build an atmosphere where people see they can grow, they can be something they're not now, they can be successful, both in terms of their own pride and desires, as well as monetarily. So my first roadblock is the CEO. He's the first guy and or girl I got to convince, check their ego, and let's put the emphasis on the team and succeeding, and let's build a track record of successes. And then once we succeed, success follows success.
Are you seeing a pattern where staff have the expectation of greater access and more time with the CEO?
Definitely, that's my one-word answer. I mean, it's hard to embellish. Yeah, uh, the CEO has to give them more time. Again, in my life, it's a small company. Uh, Anything under a couple hundred million in revenue is relatively small. I was with Hubble Corporation. I started two companies, and I sold them both, and I sold them to larger companies. The second sale I did was to a company called Hubble Corporation. They're a $4 or $5 billion corporation, and I sold them my company. They insisted that I stay with them for 4 years. So I went from serial entrepreneur to bureaucrat, which was a difficult transition for me. I didn't quite make it, but I did succeed. I grew my company, but there I learned how to deal with bureaucracies and how to deal with name, rank, and serial number, almost a military environment. So when you say how do I see things have changed? I don't know that things have changed. I just maybe are in more defined pigeonholes. So it depends on the situation. Are you in a larger corporation where it's awfully hard to change the game, or are you in a small corporation like my clients where change is harder to come by initially, but overall easier because you can be successful? Trying to have change come about at Hubble was impossible. I had a fall in rank. Change in a small corporation is much more doable and much more successful, much more personally rewarding, I think.
And so, and back to this, and I'm stuck on this because I do see it. I see it from both sides. I see it from the staff side and their perspective and how they want more time with the CEO. They want to understand the context. They want to understand some of the strategy. What's the direction? What's in it for me? Should I be sticking around with this company and continuing to work here? Because they want that insider sort of perspective.
Right.
And of course, on the other side, the executive side, the CEO in particular, there's resistance on two fronts. Resistance one is the executive saying, I can't share everything with you. Some of this is material content. So the answer is going to be no, you're not going to find out about these things. Call me vague, call me unresponsive, whatever you want, but I can't share it. I'm under obligation. The second thing is that the CEOs that I'm seeing are really struggling with this new balance where they're expected to be accessible. They're expected to provide context. They're expected to provide all these details and thinking, I can't, like, just let me do my job. So what are you seeing about that? And what are you coaching?
Again, my coaching is more success with revenue and profit growth. So the more successful we are there, the more successful it is to do more of it. So if the CEO experienced increase in his profits, and which is what CEOs are, all of us should be about growth and profits. You know, what isn't growing is dying. And if it grows, but it doesn't grow new buds, it's dying. So if we're successful in growing the company, everything else is much easier to bring about. So arguing what somebody should do without being able to point to how it succeeds is a very difficult story. Pointing to something that's starting to pay off, it's easier to do more of it and to feed the next level of that. So hey, we succeeded with the first step. Let's take a second step. We'll be equally successful. The more steps we take and the more successful we are, the easier it is to continue to make the change.
So it sounds like you've got really a combination of executive coaching, which is the personality, the behaviors, and the business coaching, right? All of the operations strategically, let's do this, let's do that. And so bringing them both together, that's my misunderstanding. Is that correct that you're really straddling both, Joe?
I'm engaged to increase profits and to grow revenue. And how I do it is coaching the CEO. I mean, he is the drum beater, right? So he's the first guy I've got to get to accept the strategy. And so he has to make sure everybody's included. He has to be a leader and he has to have followers and so on. So the more successful we are in the first strategy, which is to grow revenues and profits, the easier it is to get the CEO to embellish all the other soft skills that he has to have.
Okay. So one of the things then that I'm curious about is what do you advise? Do you have a general, every coach that I talk to has, this is my favorite bit of advice. I tell this to all my clients.
I wrote a book. I don't know if you can see it. I've written 3 books, and this is my favorite. It's my first and the smallest.
Bring it forward, Joe. Let's see it.
It says Life Lessons, Bromides and Adages.
Excellent.
It's for sale on Amazon. And it's 100 bromides and adages. Things like one of my favorites from my military days. No battle plan ever survives first enemy contact. So you need a number of them. Anything worth doing is worth doing imperfectly. When the going gets tough, the tough get going, and so on and so on. There's 100 of those bromides and adages in this book. And the first thing I do when I take on a new client is I hand it to them. And I say, this is what you need to live by. And they're 1 paragraph lessons, but it's easy to understand them, to digest them, and eventually to adopt them, And so I know when I'm successful when we're sitting at a table a planning table and somebody cites something from my book and says, yeah, but we know to do something worthwhile, if something is worth doing, it's worth doing imperfectly. So, and that's direct from my book. I feel, hey, that was a hit. And then the other thing is courage to fail. Uh,
Yeah.
if you look at a baseball player, he's built on failing. In order to succeed, he must fail. Meaning you have to come to the plate 10 times to get 3 hits, but if you get 3 hits, you go to the Hall of Fame, right? So bat 300, you're in the Hall of Fame. So I try and coach people. You don't have to win every time. What you want is at bats. Come to the plate. Don't be afraid to swing. You might strike out, but in order for you to hit a home run, you have to strike out. In order for you to succeed, you must fail. All those who succeed fail.
Now, Joe, where can people buy your book, Life Lessons by Joe Incrocci?
They can buy it on Amazon. It's
Okay.
for sale on Amazon, and I've written 3. The other 2 are more like textbooks. May I show them to you?
Yes, absolutely. Let's see them.
This I do a lot of mergers and acquisitions. I'm a very seasoned uh, person in the M&A market, selling businesses, buying businesses. So I wrote a book called Mergers and Acquisitions for First-Time Buyers and Sellers. And then my third and last book, also on sale at Amazon, is 17 Rules that will help you grow, scale, and sustain your business. As I said, I find out the more successful businesses are and the CEOs are, the easier it is to have followers. So you can't ignore the hard skill of growing a business and making it profitable. If you do that, it's a lot easier to have followers. Everybody wants to follow a winner. Not many people. What's the old saying? One of the bromides: success has many fathers, and a failure is an orphan, right?
That's right. That's
So
absolutely right. So we'll be sure to include those book links in the write-up in the notes so that folks can find an easy way to get to them. Now, Joe, where can folks find you or how do they contact you online? What do you want to share?
my website, which is www.incrocciconsulting.com. And they'll find on my website. You can go on my LinkedIn page, but it's always a cluttered spot, I believe. So if you go to my website, it's clear what services I provide and easy to contact me. And I have plenty of testimonials and all that you would expect to see on the website.
Perfect. We'll include that link as well. Now, as we're wrapping up our show, this is our signature question. I've asked more than 260 guests this question. And for those of you that don't have the visual experience, Joe is in a lovely mixed shades of blue, Mediterranean blues, gentle plaid jacket and a matching, looks like maybe a sweater underneath.
It is a sweater.
It is a sweater. Yeah, it's cold. I mean, I even put a scarf on today. It's freezing.
Yeah.
And so we ask our guests, if we got a peek into your closet, is there a pair of footwear or a clothing item, an accessory, something that says, I am Joe Incrocci? It is your signature piece. It speaks volumes. Do you have anything that can talk to us about that?
As you can tell from looking at me, I'm a relatively old timer, and I believe in all the old time values. So if you go into my closet, you'll find it full of suits, ties, sport jackets, and things like this. Even when I'm at home for dinner, I tend to put on a sport jacket.
Nice. I love that because I mean now we're hearing all of these things about even on the flights that they're going to be putting in dress codes because people are just too casual. And I see it. You walk around Wall Street. I mean, you're a New Yorker. I'm in Wall Street almost every week. And it has even shifted. People are just so casual. They've taken this business casual to new lows. And I'm appalled with what I see out there.
I am too. Even on airplanes, I used to be okay flying economy. Now I will pay for first class, not because I want to be elite, but I want some space between me and that big fat guy next to me.
That's just it. I know I fly beside people have their dogs, their parrots, emotional support, whatever it is, fluffer.
Yeah.
Like there's always something. Well, that said, Joe, I appreciate you coming on the show today. Again, folks, you can look up Joe Incrocci Consulting. You can find his books on Amazon, providing entrepreneurs and leaders all the bits of information they need so that they can lead better and have followers behind them. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Laurel. Very nice to have met you today. Appreciate it.